What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have been wanting to get my hands on one of these mobile freezers, portable fridge coolers, whatever you want to call them, for quite some time now. The folks at Setpower just sent me the brand new PT30. As you can see, their main target audience is kind of overlanders, vehicle campers, stuff like that, but kind of falls into the solar category too. You often see these run on the portable power stations, so let's get this thing opened up and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so this is the unit. Like I said, it's the PT30, 30 meaning 30 quarts. It's a 30 quart cooler, not too big, not too small, just kind of a good size for a weekend trip, a camping trip, etc. It's got a nice locking latch on the top here, so if it falls off the truck or the table, you're not going to lose all your contents. Good thick lid on it, pretty heavy lid, probably about 2 inches, 1.5 inch thick insulated lid. You've got all your charts here for different recommended temperatures, as well as error codes for the refrigeration system. As you can see, it's a dual zone cooler. You can actually run these two separately. You could do a fridge here, a freezer here, or vice versa. You can also run them all as fridge or all as a freezer. So that's a nice feature. I think having two different options in one cooler is really handy. These are your two separate controls right here. You also get your manual, your warranty card, AC wall adapter, and a 12-volt car adapter. It is a 12 or 24-volt cooler, so gives you lots of options as far as powering it. I'm going to run this on a power station and see how it does. I've got a couple tests lined up for it, so let's get straight into it. Okay, for test number one, we're going to run this cooler on my favorite power station. This is the AC200L from Blue Eddy. Before we get started, I just want to see which one of these is more efficient running through the Blue Eddy. I have a feeling it's going to be more efficient to run through the 12-volt car adapter. I just want to compare, since we have the output right here. We'll take a quick peek, and then I'm just going to run this thing down to freezing temperatures and just see how long it takes to get there with it empty versus how long it takes to get there full. All right, so the cooler powers on when you plug it in. We're gonna set this side for 15 degrees, that side for 15 degrees as well, starting right around 60, 62 Fahrenheit. So we'll have a look at the output. Pretty efficient start. Looks like we're pulling 40 watts off the bat. Slowly climbing. I'll just wait here a second and see what we level off at, and then I'll switch over to the 12 volt. All right, looks like it's holding pretty steady at 41 watts, so that's pretty good. Things are running. I can hear the compressor. I'm sure you probably can't on camera, but I'm going to switch it over to 12 volt and we'll see what it does. Okay, so it looks like we are a little bit more efficient on the DC side. We're sitting at 35 watts. Again, compressor started up. Looks like the AC200L would run this for 36 hours if that freezer were to run continuously. Obviously, once it's down to temp, it would only run, 20 minutes every hour. So this thing could run that for quite a few days by the looks of it. But I'm going to close the lid. We'll set a timer here and just see how long this takes to get down to temperature. All right, the PT30 is down to temperature. We're sitting at 15 degrees Fahrenheit on both sides. As you saw in the time lapse, didn't take too long to get there. We hit freezing on the right side, the big side of the cooler, at the 13-minute mark, 16 minutes to get to freezing on the far side, and 23 minutes total to get down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit from 60 degrees. So that's pretty impressive. That's a pretty quick freeze time. Over here you can see the compressor has now turned off. We have used 3% of our battery capacity and everything is just hanging out right now. So thought we would take a quick peek inside with the thermal camera to see what things look like. Definitely pretty cold. Might get the compressor fired back up before we look at this again and just see. Definitely a lot of the cooling comes from right there. Looks like the evaporator is probably inside that wall there. So yeah, pretty impressed so far. I'm going to load this thing up with a bunch of warm beverages and just see what that does as far as time. All right, we've got a cooler full of warm beers. You can see over here, actually, now that I look closer, you can see the frost line. So the evaporator does wrap around both of these sections of cooler. So we're going to close it up. I'm going to set the big side to just below freezing. Probably set that to 30. And I guess we'll leave the big side at 15 just to see what it does. Again, we are sitting at 97% state of charge. I've got to go pick up the kids, so I'm gonna let this run for a couple hours and we'll come back and check on the beer. All right, we're back in the garage. It's been about 4 hours. Things are still going well. We're sitting at 88% state of charge. Compressor's been cycling in and out, and the temperatures are holding perfectly at their set point. So I just popped a can out and opened it up. It's sitting at about 47 degrees is the temperature of the liquid. So that's done good. It would obviously get colder the longer I left it, but I think the plan is now I'm going to turn this off and we'll just leave it overnight, let it sit for 12 hours. I'll come back and check the internal temperature in the morning. Should be a good test to see how well the cooler is insulated and how much temperature it can keep overnight. Okay guys, I'm just locking up the house for the night. The freezer has been off for about 2.5 hours, so I just thought we would check in really quick before I go to bed here, see what the temperature is at. So we're sitting at 42 Fahrenheit on the bigger side with the cans in it and 50 degrees on the empty side. So that's doing pretty good. It hasn't lost too much temperature. Like we saw earlier, the beer temperature was actually 46 or 47 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't think we're going to lose too much more temperature than that overnight, but we'll check back in the morning. This thing does have a good Bluetooth app, by the way. You can scan this QR code, get connected up. Lets you set the temperatures. You can view the temperatures left and right, adjust temp. You can switch it to eco mode. There's a max and eco mode here, which actually ramps the compressor down a little bit so you save some power. And then it's also got a battery protection mode. You can set like voltage thresholds. So basically, if this is in your car overnight, it won't kill your car battery. It'll shut itself off at certain voltage thresholds. So that's super handy, but we'll check back in the morning and see how we're doing for temperature. Alright guys, so I did come out here and check at 7 this morning. The cooler was sitting at 49 degrees Fahrenheit at 12 hours after being turned off. And it's currently 12:30, so we're about 16, 17 hours later, and we're still sitting at 53 degrees internal temperature. So that's pretty good. That's a good, yeah, these are still pretty cold. Pretty cold. Maybe not Blue Mountain cold, Coors Light can style, but pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to take it outside and we'll do one more test. Change of plans. It started raining outside, so I just grabbed this old battery out of my shed. It's been sitting in there for a year or two. I've got a little 12-volt socket adapter, so we're going to run this on the battery. It's sitting around 11.5 volts, so I have a feeling once the compressor kicks in, it's not going to take too long to drain, and we'll see how the low battery protection system works on the PT30. And after just a few minutes, we now have an E1 error code. If we open up the app, it tells us that is the battery stop, the low voltage protection. You can see we're sitting at 10.8 volts on the battery, so that works perfectly. Cuts off the cooler, saves you from a dead car battery after a night or a weekend of camping, lets you drive away instead of having to call a tow truck. Okay guys, overall very impressed with the Setpower PT30. I'm probably going to do another video on this. I'm going camping soon and this will definitely be making the trip with me. This is a pretty cool piece of equipment to have with you. If you've got a portable power station, you can run this thing for a long time. So it's pretty competitively priced. They've also given me a 16% discount code for anyone who uses my link. So I'll post all that below. Feel free to check them out. They've got a whole line of coolers, bigger ones, smaller ones, whatever you need for your specific setup. So like I said, linked below. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.